The Holy Gospel according to Matthew. Glory to you, O Lord. Once more Jesus spoke to them in a parable, saying, "The kingdom of heaven may be compared to a king who gave a wedding banquet for his son. He sent his slaves to call those who had been invited to the wedding banquet, but they did not come. Again he sent other slaves, saying, 'Tell those who have invited, look, I have prepared my dinner. My oxen and my fat calves have been slaughtered, and everything is ready. Come to the wedding banquet.' But they made light of it and went away, one to his farm, another to his business, while the rest seized his slaves, mistreated them, and killed them. The king was enraged. He sent his troops, destroyed those murderers, and burned their city. When he said to his slaves, 'The wedding is ready, but the invited were not worthy. Go therefore into the main streets and invite everyone to the wedding banquet.' Those slaves went into the streets and gathered all whom they found, both good and bad. So the wedding hall was filled with guests. But when the king came in to see the guest, he noticed a man there who was not wearing a wedding robe. And he said to him, 'Friend, how did you get in here without wearing a wedding robe?' And he was speechless. And the king said to the attendants, 'Bind him hand and foot and throw him out into the outer darkness, where there will be weeping and gnashing of teeth. For many are called, but few are chosen.'" This is the gospel of the Lord. I have to be very honest with all of you. I know the lectionary pre-picks which readings we're supposed to do, but I've not been a fan of any of these gospels lately. So when I said the gospel of the Lord, I wanted to go, the gospel of the Lord? Thank God there's other texts to preach on. Grace, peace, and hope be yours from the God who so loves this world. Amen. Last Friday, my new colleague and emerging friend Shannon invited Harper, that's our dog, and me to join her and her dogs at the dog park. For some time now, however, Harper's health is not what it used to be. He's been uninterested in food, indifferent about going in on walks, and I can't tell you the last time I saw him lift his tail and wag it. So we left him at home and went out without him to the dog park. It felt so wrong to be at a dog park without one's dog. And I had a pit in my stomach the entire time we were there. But I tried to focus on the beautiful day that was in front of us. After a very sleepless night from Friday into Saturday of last week, Justin and I knew that Harper had to go see a vet. So I called Shannon and asked where she takes her dogs. After getting the name, I called the vet. The soonest they could see us was Wednesday evening, so I resolved myself into waiting until then. Now, I pride myself in being a very patient person. Justin, you're not allowed to comment on that. But I will admit, there are some things I have very, very limited patience for. Waiting for our dog to get seen by a vet when he's noticeably not himself was something I do not have much patience for. So I resolved to the fact that it would only be 4 days. It would only be 4 days. The same could not be said for the Israelites. How long had they traveled? How long had they waited? One remarked to Moses that they likely were led out of Egypt just to be killed in the wilderness. More than a few grumbled about the food situation. And in all fairness, as a foodie, I too would have grumbled about the food situation. I mean, come on. Quail and manna again, God? Can you not do any better? Anyway, I digress. Now, once again, Moses has gone up Mount Sinai to be with God. And the people again grew restless. Not only was Moses away from the people, his return, we are told, was delayed. And as is human nature, the people complained again. They sought out Aaron and told him that they had enough of this situation and he needed to do something about it personally. I suspect they were both tired of waiting for Moses, but they were also probably tired of waiting for God. And so perhaps out of desperation or fear of the people, or perhaps likely a mix of both, Aaron reacts to the situation. He tells the people to gather together the gold and bring it to him, and in the meantime he casts a mold. Once the gold is gathered together, the mold is cast, and Aaron creates a golden calf out of the people's gold that were once earrings. He then loudly proclaims that tomorrow will be a festival day to honor this new deity. Not only had the people become impatient, but apparently so had Aaron as well. We do not like to be kept waiting as a people. Our patience as a species seems to grow thinner and thinner all of the time. Think about it. First, we shrunk commercials. Then we allowed viewers to skip them after 5 seconds. I'm always eager to press that skip now button. Then we created a way for people to record TV shows so they could watch them at a later time and fast forward through the ads. And now we pay a premium service for content that's devoid of all advertisements entirely. We just want to get to the program. We have created fast food, express lanes on interstates, and even faster ways to pay with credit cards, all in an attempt to get from one thing to the next as soon as possible. We constantly try to limit the liminal spaces of our lives. And should we find ourselves in a liminal space, we actively try to resist it. We worry. We get angry quickly. We act impulsively, and we become incredibly insular. Liminal spaces, after all, make us all incredibly uncomfortable. And so we distract ourselves. We binge a familiar show on a favorite streaming service. We drink too much to calm our racing minds. We fill up the silence with ramblings about nothing and everything simultaneously. We even make our own golden bowls as well. Waiting, after all, is not something us humans excel at. Through all of this, though, I have to wonder, how often do we take things to God in prayer? I'm serious. How often in life's liminal spaces do we bring things to God in prayer? After all, I believe that God's always aware of what's going on in our lives, and at the same time, I'd like to think that God would like to hear from us every now and then, to hear and carry our concerns, to hold us in discomfort and in despair, to be a safe harbor amongst life's burdens and storms, to share in those burdens and storms, and to remind us of God's love. The honest answer, friends, is last Wednesday at the vet didn't give us many answers. In fact, Harper went mostly through a number of blood tests, x-rays, and was prescribed some medication and given a new diet. And I'm not exactly sure what any of this will lead to. At worst, cancer. At best, a sickness that hopefully will be treatable. But I remembered this all the time. To pray at home while I lift him from the floor onto the bed so he can sleep. Praying through tears at the vet as the veterinarian did her examination on my beloved pet. Praying as I wrote this sermon. Praying soon during our prayers of intercession. Praying, praying, praying. Praying during the waiting. The uncomfortable wish I could escape it, rather be doing something else, waiting. Praying in that liminal space and believing and trusting that God is present with Justin, me, and certainly Harper during this liminal time. Praying. Praying. Amen.